Hello everyone. So I believe we are live now. Yeah, I just decided to really quickly randomly pop on here because I'm kind of bored, to be honest. So we'll see how many people show up to this, if anyone gets a notification for it. Yeah, so basically, I actually was originally going to. Oh, hello, someone said hi. Okay, so there are some people here. I originally was going to do this video on my vlog channel, but I had a video recently. I did a video on the CBD, and something I must have done in this video went past YouTube's guidelines or something, so they had to stop it. And as a result, like I can't do live streaming on that account for like 90 days or something. But fortunately, I had this other account, so that's great. Oh, lots of people saying hi. Yeah, please say hi and let me know where you are as well in the world, because it's always interesting to see where people are, where they're tuning in from. And of course, this is a live Q&A. Because I was originally going to do this on my vlog channel, you can ask any question, doesn't have to be period related. I just like getting to know you guys, kind of having more of a relationship with you all than I kind of get through just doing videos and all that kind of stuff. So, my nail's broken as well, which is really annoying because it's catching on everything. Wow, okay. So many places. Let's see where everyone is from. Let me pull this camera a bit closer. Do please tell me if you can hear me all right. I think you can. I've got my mic on. Oh, not that finger. Still getting used to this. Let me scroll up a bit and see where y'all are from. Been watching me for 4 years. Awesome. As you guys saw, I had my 5-year anniversary, which is amazing and crazy. Where's the best place to buy rumps on the UK high street? I'm in Brighton. Oh, well, I don't think there are actually any places in the UK with the high streets other than places like Boots and Superdrug, which do like one brand of menstrual cup each. And I wouldn't actually recommend either of those menstrual cups. So high street wise, not really an option, but you can always get them online. And that's really the best place to get them. You know, as I said, I sell them obviously in the UK, at Precious Stars. There's a few other places too. So you just have to have a look online. UK, US, awesome. Wondering when you'll get new cool prints on the budget pads. The budget pads aren't designed to have prints on them. They're designed to just be a very basic one. The prints are all on the sparkle range. However, if people are interested in having a more kind of affordable version of the kind of in between, so sort of a bit above budget but a bit below the British with some nice prints and stuff on them, then please do let me know because I can look into it. It's just a question of whether people will be interested in that stuff really. Czech Republic, Toronto, Florida, Europe, Sunderland, New York. Wow, so much stuff. Okay, let's try a question. How much blood can you catch in milliliters? Do you mean in a menstrual cup? Typically, well, according to official statistics, you bleed between 30 and 80 ml per period. That's a normal flow. I don't know whether that statistic is just blood or does it take into account the cervical mucus and the other stuff that comes out. But like with a menstrual cup, you can catch up to 20, 25 or 30 ml depending on the size. Someone else from the Czech, people saying they can hear, brilliant. Washington. Yes, I can see all your questions. I'm scrolling now. I did manage to get the hang of this. I'm just, working my way down. What are rumps real quick? Right. So rumps, RUMPS, stands for reusable menstrual products. So it covers anything from cloth pads, menstrual cups, sea sponges, reusable period underwear, all that kind of stuff is covered under rumps, as long as it's reusable. Is it normal to have pain during and after sex and bleeding a little after sex too? That is not normal actually, and you should go and speak to your GP about that or speak to your doctor because there might be a reason that's happening, either things like endometriosis, vaginismus. There are several things, but definitely get checked out for that because that isn't normal. Or someone saying yes, they'd love that for the pads. Who are your favourite singers/bands? Oh, that's a really good question actually. I think I've been asked that one. So I'm really bad with like knowing who has sung things. I really like Ariana Grande's new song, No Tears Left to Cry. I think that's great. Who do I like? MIA. I think that's how you pronounce Mia. MIA. Maroon 5. There's loads of I tend to like songs more than I like a particular artist. Jason Derulo as well. I quite like him. But I'm very pop. Really focused when it comes to music. Someone would love the in-between range of pads. Okay, it's really useful to know. from all you guys. Have you ever tried the brand Red Rags? They're UK based and I'd love to see you do a review on their pads. I haven't heard of them before actually. I'll try and remember to go and look them up. I can't make notes because I've got my phone here. But I will try and remember that Red Rags. Of course, guys, remember, if you ever want to see me do a review on something, you can always message the companies and send them my YouTube channel and say she does reviews and would you be willing to send them one? That's usually the best way actually to get those reviews done, because then the companies actually know that people want that to happen. So that's always what you could do. Do you like Ice Road Truckers? Do you know what? I used to watch this. I have a feeling when I was really ill with Lyme and I was stuck in bed and just watching endless videos on the most random things, from whether UFOs were real to volcanic eruptions, that kind of stuff, that I also watched Ice Road Truckers. So yeah, I actually did quite enjoy that, but I haven't watched it any time recently. Are you going to do a reusable nappy making tutorial? Probably not anytime soon, because I haven't made any in a long time, and the first ones I ever made really didn't work out that great. So they're a little bit more complicated to make, reusable nappies. I think I might have done a tutorial already at one point on a very basic sort of style that you can make. That was probably way back in my channel, but I'm not going to be making a new one soon though, sorry. I bleed 280 mils per period. PCOS sufferer here. Cup is a lifesaver. That's really interesting to hear how much you bleed, because I'm planning to actually try and collect my menstrual blood in one of the next periods. Hopefully my next period won't be too painful and I can actually collect it then. And what was I going to say? Yeah, I just thought it might be quite interesting to see it and how much you physically bleed. So I'm going to try doing that at some point, but obviously it depends on how painful my period is. What's the next question? What are your new favourite cups? So one cup I'm trying at the moment, and which I will do a review on very soon, possibly next week actually, is called the Monthly Cup Mini. And I was very surprised that I really liked that cup. So that's one. What's another cup I've been using a lot lately? Organic cup, as always. It's just a great Goldilocks cup, which means sort of not too firm, not too soft, just for everyday use. It's pretty good for that. So that's what I'm using. Next question, are you happy with Thinx underwear? Do you think they will hold up as well as cloth pads? I have used Thinx actually, and I do think they are good. However, there are a lot of other brands out there now, so take a look. There's one that just launched in the UK called Wuka, WUKA. I've just had their final design sent to me, so I'll try it out with my next period. And there's also one, Flux is coming soon. They're sending me stuff as well. Modibody in Australia, which I really like. Fun fact about that, my cousin, who is Australian and lived here for 8 years but moved back recently, first message she ever sent me was not, "Hi, how are you? Missing you loads." It was, "Have you seen these new reusable underwear?" And I'm like, this is my job. Of course I have. But thank you for saying hi. So, I'm teasing, you know. I'm really close to her, which is great. But I did think it was quite funny. I literally found your channel today and I really like it. You are so nice. Oh, thank you. I just try and put info out there for everyone, you know. Next question. I brought 3 different reusable pads, but I need suggestions of ones that are fairly thin but thick enough for a heavy flow. Can you tell me which brands you've got that are fairly thin but thick enough for a heavy flow? So, I mean, the heavy pads on my site are designed to be thin but hold a lot of flow, but I'm obviously going to be biased because that's my own brand. I'm trying to think of some others. Where are you based? That will help. Let me know where you are and then I might be able to think up some others. Do you have suggestions for a menstrual cup for women with a very high cervix? Cups for people with very high cervixes, I would say look into the, I don't know if the Gaia cup's still around. That used to be really good. So Love Your Body cup. There is a cup, the Diva cup actually can be quite good for people with very high cervixes because it's that sort of shape. Look for cups with very long stems. That's usually the best way to go when it comes to that. But if you have a very high cervix and you're worried about it, you can get cups with ring stems, and what you can do is take some dental floss, tie it through the ring stem and leave it hanging out like you would have had with a tampon string. So if you're just a little bit paranoid about it going too far up, you can always do that, remember. And of course, if you had a straight stem, you could also pierce a hole through the stem if you really wanted to and put some string through that. But I would be careful with doing that because obviously if you end up breaking the stem off from it, then the company's not going to refund you for that. So bear that in mind. What books do you like to read? At the moment, I've sort of got into the Mortal Instruments series. And I don't know what I've never been into fantasy stuff. Harry Potter really wasn't my thing, but The Mortal Instruments and Vampire Academy are two series of books I have just like become addicted to. Vampire Diaries more than anything else, to be honest. Not Diaries. Vampire Academy more than anything else, to be honest. But I also quite like reading Mills and Boon books just for fun. You know, just as some chick flicks. They're very easy to read, basically. Can you speak any other language? Not very well. I can speak a little of a lot. So very little Greek. I'm going to embarrass myself now. Mila Lisa Linica ke Anglica. What else can I can speak more? The most I can speak in any language is French, and it's very random little bits. So je parle français. Italian, I know little words from each language. It's kind of weird. Arabic is something I started learning a little more recently. I quite enjoyed that one actually. So how do I think say أنا أتكلم اللغة العربية. If someone speaks Arabic, please tell me if I said that even remotely right. But that's kind of as far as I go with languages, unfortunately. Any tips for changing cups while in a full-length dress? Ooh. So I tend to like ruck mine up and then take the tail and pull it through the top of the dress, so it's kind of like out the way. That's the biggest tip I guess I can say. But if you kind of scrunch it together, I've got a microphone on, so I can't really show you, but like scrunch it together and then tuck it down between your boobs, then that can really help. What was the... Okay, thank you for answering. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to buy pads from the cotton series, the bio series. Will those come back? And yes, I will try sparkle pads. Though at the moment, there's no plans for the cotton ones to come back. But again, if there's a real like demand for them, I might consider bringing a couple back in a couple of colours if people really want like the organic cotton fleece tops. Again, let me know. It's always just good to see if people want them. Because that, you know, obviously I have to invest in a large amount before I can get them in, and it can be very expensive. Can you give me a tip to get my cervix in the cup? Coaxing cervixes in the cup. So maybe start off with a shorter cup if you can, and open the cup when it's just inside your vagina and walk it up. That way the cervix does tend to actually be pushed into the cup and sit in there. So that's the best tip I can kind of give for that. Do you still use the reusable loo roll? From time to time, if I have like, if I'm very sensitive for some reason, if I've been itchy or whatever, you know, women, we always go through those things. Then and sometimes with my period, I will tend to use the reusable loo roll, yes. And actually at the moment I'm doing something with being plastic free for 30 days. I'm doing a video on this. This will be on this channel actually. And you cannot get like loo roll apart from massive boxes of it without plastic. So I'll probably be using more of it than I had been before. Let's see if there's any other ones. Do you have any tips for changing your pad at school? Make sure you have a small wet bag. Take that wet bag into the bathroom with you. Then you can change your pad and switch it into the wet bag. And with your dry one that you put on, and then just put that in your school bag. You can usually take your school bag into the bathroom with you, so as long as you have it in there, you're fine. That's what I used. Well, actually, no, I didn't use cloth pads at school, but I did use a menstrual cup. That's kind of how I used to do it. Is it normal to have period cramps but not bleed? My period hasn't come yet, but I'm having bad PMS and it's been a week. That is very normal. Unfortunately, I usually cramp for about a week before my period starts. And it doesn't always give me an indication of how bad my period's going to be, because sometimes I'll get no cramps leading up to my period and then have the worst menstrual cramps on my period. And sometimes I'll have like loads of cramps before my period and then it's not that bad. So it doesn't really, it can be an indication of that, but usually it just means your period's on its way. The uterus is just getting ready to contract. I have a business where I sell reusable menstrual products. I'm vegan and would love to send you some. Send an email to the address on my website, Han, and the admins will send that over to me with a link to the website and I can take a look. Tips for dealing with a period during camping. As if you've followed me on my channel for a while, you'll know that I actually started my period on a camping trip. Best thing to do is make sure you take plenty with you. If you're using cloth pads, Make sure you have a good sized wet bag, a decent amount of cloth pads, your menstrual cup. Menstrual cups are really good for camping because, you never run out, so you don't have to worry about it so much. But yeah, and also wherever you are camping, bear that in mind, because of course blood can attract certain animals. Same with like all like feces and urine as well. So if you're camping where there is actually a proper toilet, you'll be fine, but just bear that in mind. Let's see. What is a good cup that holds a lot for a low cervix? The best cups I've seen for capacity, if they work for you, are the Femicycle and the Marula. For low cervixes, high capacity, and the Juju Cup Model 4 as well. Those are the best I've seen. I've used the Lunette for years and it's worked great, but I think it's a bit firm. I feel like I have to pee all the day. What cup would be similar but softer? So Lunette but softer. You might want to try a Sibel. It's quite soft, or actually a Ruby cup might work quite well for that. Just trying a more V-shaped cup is usually the answer. Miluna can also do quite good for that too. Do you like Lisa Kelly off Ice Road Truckers? I haven't seen her. I'm really sorry. Have you ever met PewDiePie in Brighton? No, I haven't been to Brighton actually. One of my cousins is studying there, but I haven't been there. I've only had my period for a few months now. Any tips for the first few times? Just bear in mind that it takes like 2 years to settle down, and your periods do all sorts of things before you're 18 is completely normal. So just stick with it. We all get used to it eventually. Vampire Academy was an amazing book series. Yes, thank you. Somebody else who agrees with me. I was slightly obsessed with Rose and Dimitri and their relationship. It was beautiful. I was yeah. That's somebody sending a question. Have you ever thought of becoming a midwife? Do you know what? I never have. When I thought of, is this scratching the microphone? Hang on, let me just tuck my hair in here, see if it makes any difference. I never considered being a midwife. When I used to really want to go into medicine. It was either run a business or go into medicine. That was my whole mindset. But I never thought about being a midwife. I always wanted to be a doctor, and I wanted to go into pediatric orthopedics, so children's bones. That was always what I wanted to do. However, I could never ever cope with the 7 years at university. I haven't even, as you guys know, I haven't even finished my GCSEs, so I'd have to go back, possibly do that, or I might be able to do my A-level straight away, and so on and so forth. But I really have no desire to. I love running a business. I love the flexibility and the hours that midwives have to work. My health, I just couldn't handle it, in all honesty. Max I could probably do is a 4 or 5 hour shift, and they have to do 12-hour shifts, so it's not an option with the way the NHS currently is, unfortunately. Which is a shame, but it's not actually something that really interests me that much, that side of things. But so the answer to that is no, I haven't considered it, but I did want to be a doctor at one point. That was good for Greek. Oh, I'm flattered. It didn't sound too terrible. Someone understood it at least. That's good. Greetings from Finland. Do you still like the Lunette cup? Yeah, it's still a great Goldilocks cup, like in the middle cup. I think it's a good starter cup, so yeah, definitely would still recommend it. That's why I still sell it. I always say, if I am happy to sell a product, then I still like it. It's still good to go. Otherwise, I wouldn't do that. Do you think it's normal for your period to change when you reach 30? My gyno said it's normal, but she isn't so good, so I'm not sure. Changes how? I need a little more info than that, to be honest. Sorry. Do you have a boyfriend? I don't currently have a boyfriend. I have had a few guys that I've seen, been out with, but nothing happened over the last couple of months. To be honest, I'm sort of at that point where I'm behind and ahead of my age group. It's really weird. I'm ahead because I'm obviously, I'm paying a mortgage. I'm independent financially. I'm I'm not into drinking, don't really like parties, don't go to nightclubs, any of that kind of stuff, which is what a lot of my age group are doing. So I'm sort of ahead in that way. But I'm behind in the sense of, because I was really ill, I didn't do a lot of dating. So I've come to the conclusion that it's just going to take a few years for me to get older, start looking more like I'm actually my age, or at least kind of in my 20s. Because, I turned 21 in 2 months' time, and no one still believes I'm even 20. So, I'm giving it time. I'm not worried about searching for it. I've still got plenty of time to find someone. But yeah. Do you still wear headscarves? How many do you have in your collection? I do. I like to wear them from time to time. How many do I have in my collection? Oh, probably too many. 3, 6, 9, 12, at least 12 to 15, I'd say, in my collection. I've got this song in my head at the moment. Could you maybe talk a bit about Christianity and masturbation on your side channel? On my vlog channel, I'd probably talk about it on this one actually, if I did talk about it. So I'm not a devout Christian, and I'm also not a Catholic, so that's not an issue for my side of things. Yeah, you probably need someone who's Catholic to go into more detail about that. I mean, it's certainly never been raised within my church or anything like that. How do I convince my mum to let me use reusable products? Right now, she's only letting me use Always and Tampax. I have a video on my channel, which is where I explain to your parents like the benefits of using cloth pads and menstrual cups, all that kind of stuff. So maybe try showing that to her, but also mention how it's much more comfortable and you just want to try them out. If you have pocket money, offer to pay for like the first pad or something, because and the Maluna cups are sort of more affordable. They're around the £12 mark. So those are really good things to bear in mind if you're trying to persuade a parent. They're usually more willing to let you try something if you are willing to put some financial input. Colorado, how is your Lyme disease currently? Very much under control. I've been using an infrared sauna the last few weeks, and actually my parents have now bought one and it's going up in their house. So we think we'll actually be able to get, it's now proven, especially in the States, that it can help cure Lyme disease, which is amazing, especially because my Lyme disease is like now stored in the fatty tissues in my body as it's passed from my bloodstream into there. So this is like the only way is to really sweat it out. But there's been so much positive research done and I felt so good with doing it that I feel really positive about it. But even generally speaking, I feel so much better like in my health. Just managing a good diet and eating good food and getting exercise, that kind of stuff really helps. Okay. Let me see. 30 days free. Yeah, it's coming. I don't know how far down these questions I am. It doesn't give me any indication of how many questions I've had, so I'm really sorry if I'm not answering them as quickly. Any natural tips for mild right side ovulation cramps? To be honest, I just kind of put up with them. I use some massage oil. The Femina oil, actually, the ginger one for menstrual cramps, works quite well for this, I've discovered. I usually just rub it in on like my front and my back, and that helps immensely. It usually just means you've got like a little cyst or something sometimes, but nothing to worry about unless it becomes excruciating. Somebody saying they've bought a movie cut. That's awesome. Do you have any tips on feeling more comfortable during your period in exams? I have my GCSEs soon. It's funny you should say this one because I ended up starting my period both on the day I did my theory test for my driving license and the day I did my practical. And honestly, the only way back then that I coped was, and I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you were in agony, but was to take codeine. And it was the only thing that like kept me pain free for that hour and a half or whatever it was that I needed to be pain free for. But yeah, that kind of sucked. But I take it as a good omen because I passed the first time on both of them. Yeah, so if you have a pain med that works well for you, just bearing in mind that, you know, because those are kind of quite important exams, you might want to take it just before you start it so you have a clear mind. But eat well, drink plenty of water. Those are critical things. Question, do you preach menstrual cups to your friends and acquaintances? If so, how do you go about it? Most of my friends and family members now know what I do. If it's a family member, they've usually had it explained to them by my mum or my dad, which is always really funny. And then if they want to know more, they'll ask me, so I kind of then will lead on from it. It just kind of naturally comes up in conversation. It'll be either people ask me what I do for work and then I'll explain it, or we'll be talking about things like plastic, for example, and I'll say, well, you know, my products are plastic free and all those kind of things. So it like naturally leads into the conversation, but I don't tend to preach. Oh, somebody's, that's my dad, hang on. Yeah, I don't tend to preach to people because I just feel like that's so ineffective. It applies to everything, whether it's menstrual cups, veganism, whatever. I never do that. I'm always like, if somebody wants to know more, they'll ask a question. And once they've done that, then I'll give them more info and say, if you want to know more about it, I can explain it. Let me know how much you want, that kind of thing. And then people are more receptive to it. What time? Okay, oh, we've been on here for 25 minutes. I'm going to give it another 5 minutes, guys. Just have a half-hour live session. Hope you've all had a great Sunday. It's been really nice. Like this we've got bank holiday here at the moment in the UK, so tomorrow people are off work, and it's so warm and sunny and lovely, and it feels like summer's coming at last. I'm just trying to fast forward through any questions I've kind of already answered. Let me have a look. This is good. I read this about a study recently that said that TSS is just as likely with menstrual cups as it is with tampons. Have you heard about the study? I have actually. I've looked at this study, and the interesting thing you need to know about the study is they did not test it on real women. They just tried to simulate it as best they can, which is, good, and a lot of scientific research does do that, but it doesn't compare to like real studying. Also, they based it off of the, staph bacteria being on the cup. Staph bacteria is naturally present like on your skin and stuff. It's when it gets into your bloodstream, and those of us who aren't immune to it, that's when it becomes a problem. There's always been a risk of TSS with any sort of internal protection. However, I personally only know, I would be very skeptical actually of that study saying that it's more likely, because there actually are millions of menstrual cup users around the world, and there has only been 2 cases of TSS ever recorded, which is linked to a menstrual cup, and in one of those cases the woman had worn her menstrual cup for 7 days. I'm presuming that was an accident, but obviously that's very much not the not what they tell you to do. And if, as long as you sterilize it properly and change it, then I wouldn't see any reason why it could, I know I read the study and I saw why they said it was, likely, because it stayed on the cup and it doesn't come off when you just rinse it. But I would want to see more studies and more in-depth research done, and also studies on real women to properly test that out before that I would accept that as being completely, reasonable. Just my personal sort of input. But I certainly don't feel worried about using menstrual cups. I've used them for ages with no problems. I was far more worried about tampons, because that was super absorbent stuff. Okay, as we're getting close to time, I'm just going to scroll down and pick a few questions out. A lot of people saying thank you, it's great. Love hearing like when people have found them. Which cup would you reckon for a 12-year-old? My mom said she would buy me one, but I can't decide. So for a 12-year-old, I would definitely recommend that you go with the small classic Maluna. With the normal stem. I deliberately actually sell this one on my site with just that stem, because I think it's the best one that Maluna make, and the classic is a good firmness for new beginners, and the small is a good size to kind of get used to it and play around, and also get some lubricant, because that's really crucial. Could you talk about the Lena Cup? I've done a video on the Lena Cup. Let me see. Somebody else who's 20 and everyone thinks they're 15. I know. Do you know what really catches me out is when I quite like watching just on YouTube, like Jeffree Star and stuff, and he's had a few people recently, like Tana Mojo and James Charles, and I'm like, wait, these people are 19 and 18? Yeah, it's so weird. The weirdest thing I ever find is I'm actually older than Kylie Jenner by like a week or two. That just feels so weird. I don't know why. I think it's because I don't know anybody my age who's had children yet. Just because the circles I move in, that's not common at all. And so to see somebody who is my age actually having kids just feels really, really bizarre. Right, let's try and find just a couple more. If you could travel anywhere, where would you go? The one place I would really like to visit is the Maldives. It's a long flight and it requires a stopover, and yeah, it's kind of expensive to get there too, and it's really the place you need to go with a partner. But I'm hopeful that one day I will have someone to go with. That's kind of where I would really like to go. Everywhere else I've actually almost certainly been. I'm very lucky. I have a family that likes to travel, so we've been to quite a few places. Um, Okay, I think I'm going to choose this as sort of like the last question, and then I'll just skim down right to the bottom afterwards. How is your experience going with contraception in your period? I was on the implant and had to get it removed because of my depression. Did your contraception cause your mood to fluctuate? So I only was on the patch for 1 month, and then I had to stop it because it was causing such a bad problem with my energy levels that I wasn't really able to work. It was causing problems with my eating because I didn't have the energy to even cook food. I was eating junk. And my Lyme specialist told me you need to come off it. So that was why I stopped with that one. But yeah, it was awful for me, and it wasn't really worth it for like the amount of pain relief it gave me. If I'd stuck with it longer, it probably would have become more pain relieving. But actually, now the last few months, my period's been okay-ish. So hopefully that will continue. And it wasn't worth like the exhaustion for it. So yeah, no, I did have a lot of problems. Right, I'm going to scroll right down to the bottom and just have a quick look. Do you crochet? I don't. I used to knit actually. I don't crochet anymore. Do you play any video games? Not really. Never been into it. Have you heard of the Lady Cup? Bubby Booby? Boo Boo BB. I haven't heard of Boo Boo BB pads, but I've heard of the Lady Cup. I've done a review on that actually in the past. Let me see. Is it safe to just rinse a cup with water and reinsert it? How can I naturally clean my cup? Yep, it's safe to do that as long as at the end of your cycle and at the beginning of your cycle you sterilize it properly, either boiling it in water or putting it in the microwave or using sterilizing tablets. That's fine to just wash in between. That's absolutely fine. Okay, are you vegan? I'm plant-based, but I'm not strictly vegan because I need to do a separate video on this. I keep meaning to do a video on this, but I've nearly been vegan now plant-based now for 2 years, so I figured that probably would be a good time to do it when I actually reach that point. But I do try and avoid eating those products. Is infrared sauna expensive to buy? Absolutely, yeah. To actually own one, it is, but to go and use one is not particularly. Can I still donate to the sanitary product campaign? At the moment, no, I'm afraid we're not running one right now, but I have got something in mind for the future and a few other projects I'm working on. I've actually got a lot of projects I've been working on recently with various cup companies and people, which is fantastic to see how many places are trying to be more like eco-conscious and stuff, but unfortunately I can't talk about it just yet. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been super, super great to see all your, questions and your comments and everything. I always love getting to be a bit more personal with you guys than just me making videos and posting and stuff. Of course, don't forget, you can also follow me on my Instagram, on my Facebook page, on my Twitter. I will try and put them in actually, I won't, but I'll try and put them in the comment section when I get on my laptop. But yeah, and I like to post on there. So things like I recently got the new Intermina cups, the Ziggy and the Lily Cup 1 that everyone's been asking me to review. So that's on the way. My period is due in around 2 weeks, so the next period vlog will be then. But yeah, my Insta name is at Precious Stars Pads. I think Twitter is also Precious Stars YT, YouTube, and Facebook is just Precious Stars Pads as well. And of course, there's the business page as well, which is just Precious Stars. So if you want to keep up to date with like the sales and stuff that we have, then you can go and check that out. I will put them in afterwards. If you want to check back in a bit, then feel free to always do that. And actually, do you know what? They're linked underneath any of my normal videos. If you're interested, if you want to find them there, then that's always cool. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And I will try and get another one done soon. Okay, guys, bye. Have a great day.